Order up.
Welcome to Overproof. My name is Sarah Mars, and this week on my show, I sit down with Leah Dunnigan. Leah is somebody who I stumbled across because on Mother's Day, Leah had posted something that really resonated with me. The post that went out just discussed the challenges of motherhood while working in hospitality. Leah is one of the few people I know, probably the only person I know, that has managed to stay on service while also raising a child. I just am so in awe and so impressed because on this side of the world, it is insanely expensive and really difficult to find childcare outside of the 9 to 5. If you don't have family around, it's really, really, really fucking hard. Leah has also managed, on top of being a mother, to have this incredible career and just blown away with the amount of time, dedication, effort, and energy, lack of sleep, everything that goes into that. Again, thank you so much to Leah for sitting down with me. I know that you are an insanely busy person, so I really appreciate the time. Without further ado, let's jump in.
Order up.
Welcome to Overproof. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited to be sitting down with you. If we can just start by you introducing yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Leah Dunnigan, and I'm currently in Brisbane. I work at Savile Row, and I'm their bar manager at the moment.
And what type of bar is Savile Row?
I like to think that Savile is like a hybrid of everything. It's like your giant inventory whiskey bar. We've got about 1,000 on the back bar, but then we're also like a really high volume cocktail bar with a really curated list. But then we're also like your sort of dance party night on the weekend.
Cool.
We do quite a lot, but we're also just like your casual, everyone's welcome. We'd like to tick a lot of boxes.
And you got into hospitality because I detect an accent here. Where are you from?
Yeah, I'm originally from Scotland, but I've been here since I was 13. So my accent is like a hybrid mongrel. It's a good conversation starter.
I mean, I could pick it from your last name, probably.
Yeah. So I was a teenager when I moved here, but I started hospitality like 8-9 years ago.
Where did you start out? What was your first job?
Yeah, so it was just whilst I was at uni, it was just my local pub. That was also like a hybrid nightclub, bistro, pokey room. It was huge, and it was just initially to pay bills. Whilst I was at uni and to like help me socialize, I was quite socially anxious, not very great at starting conversations. I had a stutter, which sometimes comes out when I'm excited. But I like just really wanted to sort of push myself into like a different industry to help that. And then it's kind of funny now because I'm known for yapping.
How the tables have turned.
Yeah, literally. But I was there for like a good 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I like worked my way up, eventually became like their group bar manager, in charge of like training programs and curating the cocktails. And I was just like, oh, I really like this. And then, I don't know, like I had a bar. This was like out Western Sydney. So it wasn't like Sydney life. And then this little bar that was opening reached out to me. They had saw me on our Bartender Exchange Facebook page and asked me if I wanted to help open the bar. And we were a really small team. It was a bar called The Barry. And that was in the city. And that was like a big wake up call to like the difference in like standards with this like cocktail bartending and like pub style bartending. Like I loved studying it. So like I read all the books and stuff, but actually doing it in practice is so much different. And I just loved it even more. And my dream bar at the time was to work at the Baxter Inn. And I would go there every night. And then eventually they offered me head bartender at Baxter's. Was there good 2 years. And then I moved on to the Mucho Group and was the assistant venue manager at Bar Planet, Martinis, Scorpinos, big service.
Yeah.
And then I did a takeover at Frogs Hollow in Brisbane and was just like blown away by Brisbane's hospitality. Walked into Savile Row and just like was in awe of the bar. It was
interesting.
Because it just
I've heard so much about Brisbane hospitality. I've never been.
It's just, I would say it's really consistent. Like every single bar has this genuine love and authenticity, and it's like hospitality, which is why, and it's such a supportive city. Like every bar is supporting each other. They're all leading you to the next place to go. They don't try to sort of covet you. But Savile Row, I just walked in and I was like, this is like Baxter's mixed with Bar Planet, mixed with party. And I was like, it's like everything I love. I was a bit intoxicated and I was like, it's Disneyland. And then they thankfully reached out and we had a discussion and they helped me move up here and gave me a job, and the rest is sort of history from there.
What do you think it is about hospitality? Because you said that you were quite an introverted person earlier on.
Yeah.
What part of hospitality brought that extrovert out of you?
Yeah, well, like it's interesting because I would say my service has changed completely throughout the years. Like I've had different versions of my hospitality. Initially, it was just practicing speaking to people and getting genuine conversation out of them. Like I feel like when you first start out, you're always really polite. It's always please and thank yous. How are you? But then it sort of just stays there. And then it just evolves into just natural, like, so what brought you here today? And then actually taking an interest in the guest. And now I wouldn't say it's like a persona, but I definitely have like a service bubbly persona where it's like, come on in guys. And it's like a big 4 minutes. But obviously that's reading when the guest wants that. Thankfully with our style of bar, that is normally the go-to service.
Yeah, okay. Fun. What were you studying at uni?
I was studying a bachelor's in design. So my majors were graphic design, software, and then furniture design. And was in a couple of galleries with furniture design. And then I started my master's in education. And then COVID hit. And I was like, oh, I really like educating, but I really like hospitality. And they kind of do intertwine. And I still use my degree. Like I do the graphic design for Savile, and I haven't lost the love for that, but the love for hospitality just like overtook that.
In your role, because you are a bar manager now, there's something that I really wanted to speak to you about, and this is how I found out about you in the first place, is that somehow you were balancing this with also having a child.
Yeah. Look, it's not for everyone. I think like majority of the parents I knew when I found out I was pregnant were like venue owners or beverage rolls. We had a more flexible roster, and when I first found out I was pregnant, I was doing like 12-hour shifts at nighttime, finishing at 4 a.m. And I don't know, like everyone just like assumes that you're going to move out of it. Like the amount of like people that would be like, so what job are you going to do now? And I was like, this. But I love this job and I'm pretty stubborn and motivated. So being a bar manager here, like I do 3 nights service, open to close. And then I'm also in charge of the training here, the ordering. Sort of like we have a very intensive training program, which I love. I wish I had that early on in my career. And then for a while, I was doing a lot of the design and marketing. And I don't know if you saw Savile this year, we said yes to I think every event that we could. Yeah. I felt like I was also like an events coordinator for a bit, which I do love. So it's very full on. But I think when you really love the bar that you work for, you always want to be in all the different facets. But then when you're also a mom, you don't really have a day off, like, and it makes it harder to jump back into work when they need you. So I'll sleep when I'm dead, but
I hear you.
It's full on. It's full time. Like I finish here sometimes at 5 a.m. and then I'd wake up at 8 with my child. And there is like a little bit of people like, oh, like you just had a big week. I'm like, no, like this is just my life.
How do you manage it with like, because I think that one thing, when I was in Sydney for the Maybe Festival, I sat on a woman in hospitality panel. And one of the questions that came up was, how do you handle motherhood and hospitality? And for me, it just wasn't realistic. Like there was no way I could stay in service because I couldn't afford childcare at night. How have you made that work? Because I think people need to hear more about it.
Impossible. It's an impossible thing. I have been... Look, it's very, very hard. There isn't a lot of support on how to handle it either. Like as I said, there's no daycare at nighttime. If you do get a nanny, you're paying a lot more. You don't get the childcare subsidy the same way. And working in service, as I said, I work till 4 a.m. It's not realistic for me to get someone to do that. My daughter's father is also in hospitality, so we're both night workers. We've both sort of compromised to a 4-day roster, so that has been a huge help. Me obviously doing a more management role means I do get an admin shift, which helps with that. But for the first 2 years of her life, I was paying for like a nanny full price for, I'd say, about 12 hours a week. Normally it would be to cover when I finished to when he would start. But it meant that majority of my paycheck was just straight into there. Whereas with daycare, you get the childcare subsidy, which I'm now enjoying. But it was really hard for me. I enjoyed the element of working at night. I had the whole day with her. If I was working in 9 to 5, I would only see her from 5 p.m. onwards to bedtime and in the morning. Whereas I was enjoying for majority of the week the whole day, and I love that. For me, in my mindset, I've got until she's about 5 or 6 to just enjoy the nights because I get the whole day, which puts a bit of a time crunch on my career plan. And right now she's at daycare 2 days a week, which works with mine and her dad's roster. And then I get her anytime I have off, which for me has worked. Yeah. Trying to negotiate that with employers, I think, can always be really difficult. With Savile, they just had such an open conversation with me about it being, what works for you? You tell us what roster will work for you and we will make it work. And they've been incredible with that. They're very understanding that my job means so much to me, but my child is a priority. Like even this weekend, my child sadly was really sick and was in hospital, and they just didn't even question the fact that I shouldn't be here. Where I've been in scenarios before where they've like asked me to come back to work after like she's ended up in hospital, because it's just like, well, we need someone to close. So I'm very, very lucky that I'm in a work scenario now that I think employers are a really important part of that. I know a lot of companies, I don't think yet still have the understanding that it's not a choice. You shouldn't have to choose being a parent or being in hospitality. Yeah.
Yeah. When I found out I was pregnant, I didn't know a single other person who had managed to make it work. So it's exciting to find someone. But I think there's those sacrifices you have to make.
Yeah. I knew a lot of dads. I knew Dre, who owns Old Loves and Old Mates. He gave us a bottle sterilizer. He helped us a lot in the beginning. But he was the only person that I knew, and maybe MC from PS40 in Sydney. But they both own bars, and I was in awe of them, but I'm like, I don't have the capability to say no to service.
Yeah.
But they've been great, support and advice. But I think I didn't know any mums at all. Yeah. And I think there's a little bit of different judgment as a mum compared to a dad. You're expected to be home with the baby a lot more. But I'm I'm going to do it. It's always my mentality.
I love it because you have been everywhere lately, and I think before you found out, you just won one Bartender of the Year. Right?
Yeah, it really kicked off after that.
And so, like you said, you have a time crunch.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Well, my mindset is I've got, only a couple more years until she's in school, and I want to be the parent that's there at school pickup. So I got this probably crazy mentality to say as yes to as many things as possible, to give myself the opportunity to build a career as hard and as fast as I can, and push myself as hard as I can, work as many hours as I can, whilst also trying to make as much money to support her in this time, which I've had my boss sit me down and saying, you need to say no every now and then. And I have come to the realization that, especially after the past 6 months, that I can't say yes. I think I had 1 week where I was in Brisbane, Melbourne and Sydney for different events, one day after the other.
Oh my God.
And it sounds fun, but it's a lot. I love doing this stuff. And for me, the drive was I'm making more money for my daughter. I'm building this career, but then it does take a toll. So now I'm being a little bit more calm about what I'm saying yes to. And I'm saying that as I've just started like a side project as well as my full-time job.
Can I ask what it is? Or is it a secret squirrel?
It's called Dramming On. Very similar to what you do yourself. Really authentic chats, education, sort of hard discussions with a lighthearted feel. Okay. I like the idea that if you're having the chat that you would have with a hospitality person outside of work, just casually over a beer or a dram, should be the same that we're seeing online. So I've got first 15 videos locked in.
Amazing.
And that will be coming soon. So I think you're the first person I've actually said that to. So there you go.
There you go, everyone listening. How exciting. So everyone that I interview on this podcast so far, there seems to be this trend where they all say that they would love a little bit more downtime, but nobody seems to be able to commit to it.
No, never. Even like I just went on holiday to Scotland, first holiday in like 3 years since I had my daughter. And I was like, I should do takeovers when I'm in Scotland. I could reach out. And my boss literally was like, Leah, just have holiday. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'll think about it.
We're rescheduling my hens party because we're going to go to BCB instead.
Perfect. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. And what is the end goal for you? What do you want to achieve in the next couple of years?
I think for me, ultimately, I just want to always love and enjoy the place that I'm working at and be proud of what we're doing. For me, always reaching for more. I really want to be a part of the change in this industry. I'm really lucky to have a bit more of a platform right now. And I just wouldn't feel right if I wasn't discussing, I guess, harder topics and paving a different pathway for the newer generation. My generation, even the generation before mine, I've had a really tough go. And I think although we're making improvements, that journey's not going to end for a really long time. So I'd love to be, I guess, a voice for that. But I don't know I think everyone in hospital one day would love to own a bar. I'd love to own a bar or even be a partner in a bar. Or I love writing about hospo. I like talking about brands. I'm obsessed with whiskey. My sort of drive for the next 5 years is to absorb as much as possible, so that when that time comes when my daughter is starting school, I can go, right, a good experience in this, and this. What is really reaching out to me? And then hopefully the delirious person I am, I could have the choice of what I want to do.
I don't think that's delirious at all. What are some of the harder topics that you're looking at focusing on?
It's not really a secret that this industry can sort of chew you up and spit you out. We're facing more sexual assault, more abuse. We're open and liable to alcohol addiction, drug addiction, often exposed to companies that don't have training for management or real policies in place, which leads to burnout, which leads to abusive management. Long hours. We're working at a different time period than majority of the world. We're also then in an industry where our entire job is putting on this bright, bubbly face. So mental health issues just lie beneath the surface and aren't addressed. There's a plethora. And there's so many different ones to tackle at all times that I just think we sort of at the moment are having a focus on one and then we move to the next one and forget about that one. and they're all prevalent. They're just all important. I myself I've faced a lot of them even today, and it's a battle, I think, of this industry, and it ends up being like, we lose a lot of great talent because they end up dealing with these topics.
Yeah. I would love to shout out anyone who you think is doing really well on this front.
So many. Sorry, not sorry. Please, my big one, Jenna Hemsworth, Rookie Hair, Britt Rowe, Alex Hooker, and Ruby are just killing it at the moment, spreading awareness. I wouldn't say like that conversation is anywhere near done. If anything, it's just a stepping stone. To put themselves out there the way they have is just beyond courageous. And then you've got people like Mix House who are just fighting for representation, exposure, really making sure there's a place for us, a seat at the table as women and non-binary people. Even on that, They Tender, they have a sort of online vlog where they just discuss being non-binary and being trans femme, and it's just seeing the exposure is great. And then we've got like the Burnt Chef Project that are helping on mental health and burnout, and I think it's awesome that we have so many facets to sort of look out to.
One thing that I see with all the different platforms is there is all of like this resource available.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people don't know how to access it, don't know where to find it. Is this something that you've struggled with yourself in hospitality?
Yeah, I think for me, I struggle with the sort of, I guess the term is like performative allyship, where like you see these companies or just bars showing online support, sharing these stories, sharing the sort of Instagram pages, but their policies still don't align. New South Wales is having a couple more policies put in place legally, which is a great start, but it'd be great if like bars and companies are actually looking at their policies, looking at their training. Some great bars I know actually offer free counseling where you get like up to 10 sessions through an app. I think just like there's just not enough education through the actual management process. Like there's so many young managers thrusted up into these positions and they're just not educated on how to look for these triggers. I've been really lucky that like my managers are just awesome and are very in tune with how their staff are feeling and have been very supportive, but not everybody's getting that. And I think the issue is it's still internal. Your external voice or sharing their face value only goes so far.
Yeah, because I think from the outlook, it seems like there's so much publicity around a lot of different subjects at the moment. But when you look at any particular venue or any particular workplace, you still hear about this.
Yeah, I mean, there's always black and white. Every place is going to have its strengths and its weaknesses. And I don't think any venue is wholeheartedly perfect. And I think some venues are often bad branded because of one person, and then that legacy will live on. So I don't think that like bars can be unredeemable, but I think there needs to be like proof in the pudding. You need to be really making those changes and making that mark and making tough calls, unfortunately.
And on the flip side, what excites you about hospitality at the moment?
Honestly, like the community right now, the networking is insane. I love that. I just feel like I have friends in every city. Like it's just awesome. Like, and taking inspiration from, say, someone in Melbourne, like everyone's so welcoming that you could just shoot that person a message and say like, hey, how did you do that? And they're like, oh yeah, here's the recipe. Here's what I read. Mix House has made such an insane community across like the female and non-binary bartenders in Australia. We have this giant group chat, and just even like the smallest issues to the biggest bits of advice, it's like a sounding board, and that's amazing. But also I just love seeing the creativity going wild right now. Like I'm a big fan of these wacky, tacky drinks. I love seeing like people like just remembering that like as long as the drink tastes good, it doesn't matter about like how fancy your technique is. And the weirder it sounds, the more I'm like, that's amazing. I've always said that with any drink I design, I kind of like the idea that someone reads it and goes, that looks a bit weird, but they're intrigued. And I love their face when they'll have it and they'll be like, it worked. it really worked. And I think I'm seeing that a lot more, like a fearlessness to be silly, like to just not feel like you have to be this refined bartender. You can just be authentically yourself and express that in creativity. Yeah.
Do you have an example of a drink that you've made recently that would fit that description?
I have a couple. Favorite one, which I was really anxious about putting on a menu. It was at a takeover for Whiskey and Ailment with SNWS. And I made a Bloody Mary old fashioned. Now that sounds wrong, but it was amazing. It was like a beautiful peaty whiskey with a fresh tomato oleo, some Tabasco served with chili. And it just like, it was subtle enough that it was still an old fashioned, but it was savory and a little bit heaty. And it was the best seller of the night. And I was confused, but I think that whole takeover was pretty crazy. Like I had a Midori whiskey sour with pineapple tapache, and as takeover before that was with Starwood at Black Pearl, and I did like a Guinness Starwood honeycomb espresso, but it was served as like an Irish coffee, and I ended up, I think, pouring Guinness foam in people's mouths the whole night. It's such enjoyment seeing like that silliness come through drinks. But I think I love doing that. And I think for Suntory Cup, I just made a beetroot Amazaki whiskey Bloody Mary. I don't know. I hate Bloody Marys and I keep using them as inspiration to prove them wrong. That's my whole thing, proving them wrong.
I love it. How did you go at Suntory?
I did awesome. I'm really proud of how I did. It was hard because I had my boss and my brand new staff member all from Savile in the lot. I think there's a big misconception. People think I've done a lot of competitions. I haven't. That was my second presentation ever.
Huh. I would have thought you had too.
I don't know where people, like I've entered in, I think, a lot of like social media ones where it's just like a sort of post. But I did top 10 Patron Perfectionist, which was my first comp, which was a whole learning experience. And then this was my second presentation. I just had a great time. I think competitions are just such a fun way to meet people. And my boss, Jacob, who has obviously been super competitive with me about it, he actually won the professional section. And my new staff member, she won the People's Choice to go enter. So I just get to be a big cheerleader now. So
that's amazing. Oh, so cool. I guess you're pretty familiar with public speaking though, right?
I wouldn't say that I should be allowed to, but I think, see, I'm getting excited. I feel comfortable talking about things I'm passionate about. So I feel like I thrive in an element. I also like a conversation more than public speaking. Like I'd rather not just project at someone. I'd rather engage. And then that feels really natural. But I don't know if I would be even able to do it. So
fair. Should we do some quick fire questions? They're not usually quite so quick fire. To be fair.
Do it.
Okay. Most memorable experience you've had in a bar?
I've actually got, it's a bit of a hard topic to discuss, but I feel like it's really important. It wasn't that long ago. It was during Weekender. And I think for me, it's the most memorable because it's really just resonated since. I'd been going through a lot in my private life, some really hard topics. But as I've mentioned, I've just been pushing myself with events, takeovers, just saying yes to absolutely everything and not really dealing with my personal life and what I was going through. And I would just push, say yes, say yes, say yes. We just launched a brand new cocktail menu and then Weekender hit. And it's just like, I think I had like 3 separate events each day. And my last event was this huge takeover at Savile, which I think is hilarious because I've got photos of me just smiling my face off, like shaking away. And I don't know what it was. I felt like really struggling to get this personality that I felt like people really expected from me up. So I drank to try like push myself to be this beautiful, bubbly, inviting, you're in my bar, like this is where I live. And it was as soon as the last of my drinks sold out, I just broke down and I like was just crying out the back. And it was, for me, it was just like, this should be a high. This should be, I've just done so much. I've just achieved so much. Why am I breaking down so bad right now? And it's just burnout and expectations and then trying to deal with it and then leaning on alcohol to try bring a personality out when the personality is just me. It's just sat with me that like it happens so often. Like we keep pushing ourselves to do so much because we want to tick this box. We don't want to lose the ball that's rolling. But I like had one of the worst mental breakdowns of my life in my workplace on a night where everyone's celebrating Savile. And my boss was just like, now it's time to go home. And now it's time to take the rest. And like, it's just stuck with me because I felt like this is what I always wanted, to just do all these things and keep saying yes and keep doing it. And at a time where like, if you look at all the photos, I'm just smiling ear to ear. Like I was falling apart behind the bar, and it's just what's expected of us as hospitality workers. And I think it's just really changed the way I'm looking at things now. And I think like a lot of people look at what I'm doing like, oh my God, they're doing so cool. And I'm like, yeah, I need to breathe. I need to breathe as well. I think people forget how like much of a toll this takes. So yeah, I know that's a long-winded answer, but
it's a good answer though.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you're putting into place now to prevent that from happening again?
Yeah, I think like taking the space to really process what's going on in my personal life. I'm very much a person that will just throw myself into work instead of actually dealing with it. And even though that I may not be performing the way that I should be, I'm physically there. And I think taking the time to just communicate, hey, like this is what's going on. I might need to take a step back and not feeling guilty about not showing up is like such a huge component. Even like taking the time to be with my daughter and not feeling guilty that I'm not there. It's just like I'm learning to really communicate with my managers and just not trying to push myself at 110%, maybe bring it down to 90.
Yeah.
Also just not relying on alcohol to try and bring out that bubbly personality. Like I can do it.
It's a pretty big mental shift though, right?
Yeah, I honestly, it was the timing of it. I ended up going on holiday afterwards to Scotland for a good 2.5 weeks. And then I came back and did a month sober just because I just needed that refresh. And it really helped my mindset. It helped me really clear up how I'm thinking. Because you just don't realize how often you're exposed to this, just the situation. And it's honestly, like sometimes you really need to break to realize what's not working.
Yeah, totally. Not such a quick fire question, but I love it. I prefer an honest answer. Yeah. Favorite cocktail you've been served in a venue?
Oh, that is a hard one. Honestly, I don't know if it counts as a cocktail, but Old Loves do this like Ray and Nephew with sugarcane, and they juice the sugarcane fresh, like in front of you. And it's like, you're like, what is going on? And then you taste it and you're like, this is just insane. Like it's just so good. I love it. It's so awesome.
I need to try that.
Yeah.
Trend you want to see more of?
Silly. Being silly. Silly creativity and challenging what's the right thing to do.
I'm so here for it. Trend you want to see less of?
That you're finished learning. Like I keep seeing a lot of, I'd say it's always when bartenders normally hit that 2-year mark, that 3-year mark, where they're starting to feel comfortable in what they're doing. They've read a lot of books, and they go, yeah, I know everything. And your mentors are still learning. Like there's the people like I look up to globally are still trying to figure out what they can learn next. That's what's so amazing about this industry. It's honestly, it's what made me fall in love with it. It was a topic I could study forever. And I think just kind of losing that restriction to yourself that you're done learning, that you've ticked all your boxes, that needs to go away. Like everything's
I don't think you've even scratched the surface at 2 or 3 years.
Exactly. Like, and even like someone that I would say most commonly it's someone that's worked at like one bar for a really long time. and they know that bar. It's such a flip of the script when you start, and no matter how long you've been doing it, you start a new bar, you're like, I'm back at zero. I need to relearn.
Totally.
But I find that like refreshing. I love that.
100%. Do you have a little pet peeve, just something funny that's annoying that people do behind the bar?
I just can't stand messy bartenders. I like autonomously, like as soon as I have a shaker, I've cleaned it and put it back. Like I don't even think about it now, but it's the first thing, like no matter how experienced a bartender is, immediately I'm like, I can't work next to you. And I know that's really picky, but mise en place is just like, for me, it's crucial, and it helps you work seamlessly with your team. That's my really anal picky.
I 100% agree with you. The worst is when you like, or you just leave your tins and then walk on break, and I'm like,
no tins in this week. No tins.
No, please don't. You'll make everyone your worst enemy behind the bar. The time that you've most been in the weeds.
Oh yeah, when I worked at Baxter's, like Baxter's is a monster bar. No matter what day of the week, it is full. And it has like, I would say 3 main wells that you share with two people, but and it has an extra well if needed. But it's called Point Engine Paleo. Yeah, Paleo. An engine is like you're serving as many people as possible. Point, you're saying hellos. Perth, you get the extras. And we had a person call in sick. I think it was a Thursday, so it wasn't as full a team as like a Friday, Saturday. And for some reason, the way that we just shifted with the way the flow was coming, 2 people on Point, I had 2 people on Paleo, and yet I was alone on Engine. Just absolutely, like, I think it was like for a good 4 hours of the night before I think the manager was like, why are you by yourself? And then like jumped in. But it was, for me, I love being in the weeds. Like there's something so how fast can I go? How many people can I serve? And I actually really enjoyed it. And I think I requested like every now and then to be on myself, either on like Paleo or Point, just to sort of see how I could handle it. But it was just, normally that's a big no-no at Baxter. No 2 people on that well, but that was like the most I'd ever been. But I also like, at the end of that, I was like, yeah, I did.
You get the adrenaline rush, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a hospital horror story or like just a funny story? Everyone has one.
But this happened to me, I want to say like 2 months ago. I'm pretty sure everyone that has me on Instagram is aware of it. Again, a person was sick, and I was doing one of our double wells by ourselves, and someone had brought a brand new peeler and hadn't told us. Oh no, they had told us, but like I wasn't aware that this was the brand new peeler. And I was expecting it to sort of have that like drip. And I don't know how it happened, but I peeled from my knuckle, like nail down off. And then when I freaked out, I went up the way and got this side of my hand. And I remember it happened so quick. It was like butter. But I was serving like 4 people. And I just very calm, like adrenaline kicked in very calmly. I was like, could someone please get Jacob, my boss, please? And they ran and got him. I was like, I need first aid. But I must have just been quite reserved. But I had like punched the bar. I was like, it was starting to feel it. And then he went to take over my order so I could go downstairs. And he was just like, so what's in the tins? And I was like, I don't know, me, maybe, I don't know. And then went downstairs, and my other manager, Will, who didn't know how bad it was, just lifted up a Band-Aid, and I had like 3 tea towels just full of blood, and he was like, hospital, and I was like, hospital, and it's still not growing back. I don't know if you can see it. It's like, it was like, I'm not bad with blood. I passed out when I eventually did it. It was, I hit an artery on both fingers and like hit the bone. It was, I'm classy. I've never been that. So now I'm using a peeler. ever again.
That is so fair. Use a little knife.
Knife skills are better. Like, it's more important. Yeah. I can hear my old boss, Jay Cosma, like just saying that in my ear, knowing he knows I know better.
That is the worst peeler story I've ever heard.
I honestly, never, like, all the horror stories are with a peeler.
How long did it take to, like, you can't get stitches for that, right?
No, there was nothing.
Did you need surgery?
It took like 2 weeks, I think, before I was allowed on the bar, because the biggest concern was like getting it infected. And obviously a bar is quite a wet environment and I couldn't bend it. Thankfully, my holiday lined up at the same time. So I did the bartender weekender with bandaged hands. Which,
oh my God. That holiday seemed to be really well placed all around.
It was, but it was like a full-on holiday. It was like a wedding, a hen night, a whole shebang. So I'll rest one day.
When you're dead, you can rest. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord. Oh, and then if there's a legacy that you want to leave in hospitality, what would that be?
I think just that, like so many people can tell you that you're not going to make it, and like circumstances can make you feel like you can't do what you really want to do. I almost quit hospitality last year. I just felt like I couldn't do it anymore. I wasn't good at it. And then I just I don't know, I just had to pick myself up, and I don't know if my daughter was really like a motivation for that. And I just kept going. And this last year has been the craziest year of my life, and I wouldn't have done it if I hadn't just said, I believe in what I love. And I think there's so many times I see bartenders just go through something horrible and just believe in yourself. And I think it's hard, and we're in an environment where we're quite put down and analyzed, that you need to have a driving force within yourself to really keep going and surround yourself with people that are going to pick you up. I think that's just something I really want everybody to like really understand. You can't ask someone else to do it for you. You've got to really push yourself.
It sounds like the venue that you're in now, that's helping significantly with that.
Yeah, if you ask my boss, Jacob, he says I bully him all the time, but after a couple drinks, I'm like, thank you so much. I did. Yeah, I'm very, very grateful to be here. I've worked with some amazing teams over the years, not to discredit them. I've loved the people I've worked with, but I've never felt so supported, I think, in my circumstance and what I aspire to do. So thank you, Will and Jacob.
How incredible. I think you're an inspiration to like everyone, not only mothers in hospitality, but just people in hospitality. The way that you're pushing yourself is so impressive.
As long as they're not watching me like boat race too many espresso martinis, then I'll take that.
I'm also inspired by that.
Yes, we should tee up a date to boat race.
Yeah, we should. Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time, especially hearing how busy you are.
Yeah, here's to slowing down.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Overproof. I will be back next week with another exciting guest.